Hello and welcome to Camp Xbox. The sixth generation of gaming was full of comic book and movie games. Also, it was full of comic book movie games. With the upcoming Fantastic Four movie, I wanted to look back 20 years ago to when 20th Century Fox attempted to make a Fantastic Four movie. And of course, there had to be a game to go along with it. And I played through it recently. And let me tell you some history along with a review. All footage was recorded off of an original Xbox, except when noted, and I'd like to thank my YouTube channel members for their support. But let's go ahead and hop into this one.
The thing is back, baby! It's clobbering time.
Objective.
The Fantastic Four debuted in comics in 1961 when it was created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby for Marvel Comics. They're often called the first family of Marvel, consisting of Reed Richards as the stretchy Mr. Fantastic, his partner Sue Storm, also known as the Invisible Woman, her brother Johnny Storm as the Human Torch, and buddy Ben Grimm, who is known as the Thing. They worked together as crime-fighting superheroes, and they were a hit. They've left a strong, lasting impact on culture in general. Now take those many years of comic influence, and of course there was a movie planned for it for a while. In the 80s, it was pushed forward by great schlock producer Roger Corman. It would lead to an unreleased Fantastic Four movie just to hold on to the rights with the hope of making a big budget flick. This project had been passed around for a while and went through many directors' hands and was constantly getting pushed out. But by 2004, it seemed to finally get close to being finished, with Tim Story coming on to direct. It was also the mid-2000s, so you know a video game had to be planned at the same time. At that time, Activision owned the video game rights to the Fantastic Four. They had actually been teasing a game for the franchise since 2001, but by E3 2004, they were showing it off to release at the same time as the then upcoming movie. Leading up to its release, this game would be heavily promoted. The actors from the movie would all be doing their voices in-game, giving it that Hollywood touch. It would also get songs made for the game by famous artists, with groups like Jurassic 5 and Taking Back Sunday. It was also being written by Zach Penn and Martin Signore, where Zach had actually written a draft for the film version. It was feeling like more than a throwaway movie game, and it would also be developed by 7 studios who had previously worked on non-movie games with Legion and Defender. This is another case where the game predates the movie, where Fantastic Four would have a wide release on July 8th. This game would release for the PS2, GameCube, Xbox, and PC on June 27th, 2005, with Australian and European releases in July. There was also a GBA game. Personally, I have zero history with this game. I do remember seeing the movie in the theater, and I was excited for it. I was the right age for it and everything, and I was just starting my obsession with movies. Yet, I remember hating this movie. I thought it was a stinker. I distinctly remember getting in an argument with a kid at school who loved this movie. He said it was gonna get a sequel, and I said it was so bad that it couldn't get a sequel, and I guess I was the dummy there. With those feelings, I did not seek out this game, and I've never gone back. Well, the new movie is coming out, and I rewatched the old one and played the game. I still don't love the movie, but that doesn't mean the game can't do better. So let me tell you how I felt about the game, starting with the plot.
Security systems?
At first, this game may fool you into thinking it is similar to the movie in terms of plot. It has the same Hollywood cast and opens with the classic cliche of the team just being beaten by Dr. Doom, and it flashbacks to the beginning of the story. You see how the team gets their superpowers from cosmic radiation, and the story of the plot leads up to that finale with Dr. Doom. It's the same general arc of the plot, especially in the intro, where the Thing runs around scared of his own powers, and the team has to work together to save people on a bridge. Yet, where the movie focuses on the team honing their powers and developing their character arcs, the game takes a more comic-sided approach. The amount of villains here is awesome, and if you're a fan of the comics, you're in for a treat. It features Mole Man, Puppet Master, Diablo, Dragon Man, and it has a lot of Nick Fury in it. This game is focused on taking this Fantastic Four movie cast and bringing them into the greater Marvel Comics universe, and I think that's a benefit to this game. Though I'm not going to say it's riveting, it is at least fun. It allows itself to be outlandish with things like dinosaurs and mummies coming to life in a museum. It's silly fun, and to be honest, I don't mind that from a comic book game. Now, the dialogue writing is nothing special. I don't know if it's poor performance or bad writing, or just a mix of both. The dialogue does not have any power behind it and is pretty bland. I don't think anything written here is quite memorable except for the obvious, like when the thing says it's clobbering time. Yet I can't say I expected something more. However, I did get pleasantly surprised by the plotting overall. This game took me about 5 to 6 hours to get through, and I'd say the plot was fun to follow.
The mighty have fallen before me. Johnny Storm, too young to die. Reed Richards, too smart to die. Susan Rises, too beautiful to die. But die.
Fantastic Four is pretty simple for a comic book game. If you've played Marvel Ultimate Alliance or X-Men Legends, you will know what to expect. You switch between different members of the Fantastic Four in real time and beat up bad guys in a beat 'em up style. Each one has a mix of combos as well as the ability to use powers specific to them. There is XP you earn from beating up bad guys and finishing levels, and these can be used to power up your characters. It's simple and easy to understand, making it perfect for a younger audience or anyone going in for a more relaxed experience. I actually thought this was a good quality for this game because generally this game controlled fairly well. Inputting combos and mixing them with everyone's unique abilities was great. I felt like beating up a bunch of bad guys in a row was satisfying, and it felt pretty good. Generally, I find that movie games somehow botch things as simple as controls, but here it's pretty smooth, though the camera can get a bit wonky and get stuck on the walls sometimes. Also, I must say that despite it being fun and controlling well, it is a lot of just fighting enemies, so mileage is going to vary depending on how you feel about that. Though I found the game was compact enough to keep it engaging for its relatively short playtime. The way the game breaks down is into large levels with 3 to 4 different sections. Generally, there is a big goal, like taking down the major bad guy, and the Fantastic Four have to break up doing differing goals to get to that. Each section, on average, was about 5 minutes long, and you mix around with what characters you play with, and that gives it a nice variety instead of overly long levels. It helps to make it feel like you're accomplishing a lot in a short amount of time. Though the formula never changes, it's a brawler, and that's it, with some light quick-time mini-games in between. I do think it's disappointing that this game only supports 2-player co-op and not 4, which is a missed opportunity. It shows in most levels as you generally split off from the main crew. Luckily, each character is fun to play. I think they're all strong. I did prefer the Thing and Mr. Fantastic just because they had larger attacks that could hit a whole group, but Sue Storm has a really strong beam attack, and the Human Torch has great projectiles. Usually there's a few characters that you don't want to play in games like this, but each one here has strengths that make them fun. I had more fun with this game than I expected. I think overall the brawling is well done and it's simple, yet that is a bit of an issue too. It never does anything particularly well. It never changes it up, and unlike games like X-Men Legends, it does not have any depth. You really need a special element to spice it up, and you really don't get that here. This is a game where what you see is what you get, and I think the lack of anything interesting going on makes this one not stand out, and it just kind of feels average. Though average isn't a bad thing at times, and this is totally serviceable. I had fun the whole time, and I'm sure with a friend it would have been a good time. Throw in that beating it on harder difficulties gives you bonus levels, and there's even a cheat code that opens up a level to hell. There are a bunch of interviews on this disc to unlock, so they tried to give it some replay value, though you won't see me revisiting this one again. It didn't do enough differently or fresh enough to keep me coming back for more. The lack of replay value does hurt it a bit, but it is good for one time through, and I think overall I was pleasantly surprised. Fantastic Four is a solid and clean-looking game on the original Xbox. Coming in at the end of the Xbox right before the release of the 360, I feel like we were at the point on the console where games just looked clean. The fidelity in the gameplay is well done, and there is a large sense of space in each of the levels. The cutscenes are a bit pixelated and lower quality, but they get the job done and look on par with games of the time. In the actual gameplay, I was surprised by how well the game ran. I never experienced any sort of slowdown, and it consistently ran well. I do really like the art design for this game because it maintained a good sense of variety. I felt like I was always somewhere new, like the basements of a museum, in outer space, or in an Aztec jungle. Though a bit odd that you jump around so much, I found it kept the game refreshing, something that this game needed because the gameplay wasn't really refreshing. Along with the environments come new and different enemies, and it doesn't feel like they are reusing a lot of assets. It feels like they took the time to flesh out each section and give them all nice color schemes. The actors are replicated fairly well here too and look solid. Mr. Fantastic looks a bit off when stretching, but it's kind of funny. I won't say the game overall is among the best looking on the Xbox, but it does a solid enough job and is fine graphically. The game is not backwards compatible on any modern Xbox consoles, but it is backwards compatible on the Xbox 360. But I did find that the frame rate was a little rough compared to the Xbox version. If there is one section that I do feel is poor, it's the audio, mainly in its sound effects. At first, it seemed like this game was doing well. The sounds are big and crunchy. It's like hearing the giant sound bubbles of comic books. That comic approach is nice, but imagine a full team of heroes punching and kicking at the same time. It's loud punching noises repeated over and over, and as loud as possible. Some of these boss fights gave me a headache because the sound effects feel like they're all fighting to be the loudest one, and it never mixes well together. And you have to do yourself a favor and turn down the sound effect volume. The voices are not much better either. The main cast does return, and no offense to them, most of them have done good work outside of this, but their delivery here is poor. Michael Chiklis might be the best of the bunch, but Chris Evans is sleepwalking right through this.
The thing gamers are really going to like about the game is the ability to relive movie experiences and go beyond by playing as all the Fantastic Four superheroes. Gamers are really going to like playing superheroes like Johnny Storm because they'll be able to bend flame at will and ward off enemies and create huge supernova fireballs.
Okay, where's the doorknob?
Hello, Freddy, where's the door?
Okay, where's the doorknob? Okay, where's the doorknob?
Alba and Griffith don't do much better, and I think it's a mix of forgettable writing and poor delivery. I felt like a lot of what was said didn't feel great, even though I do like the authenticity of the actors actually being here. It all just left a lot to be desired. The music, though, is interesting because it's not bad. It's a little quiet under the sound effects, yet it has a fun rock flair, and it fits the action. I do find it fun that they got real artists to come in and make songs for each of the heroes. The most notable would be Error Operator from Taking Back Sunday, which they would later put on their own album, and it's also in the movie. It's stuff like this that shows that more care was put into the development of this game than expected, even though I'd say the sound overall does not hold up. I was surprised by Fantastic Four. I thought since the movie wasn't great, the game based on it would probably be dreadful. Yet the game manages to at least be fun and deviates into a more comic book inspired plot. It's not amazing, it generally has the same brawling gameplay style for the whole game, and it does not reinvent anything. Yet games don't always have to reinvent anything. Sometimes they can set out to just be a good quick bit of fun. This controlled well, had interesting level design, and it looked solid. The sounds were pretty awful, but nothing much else was. I do not think it's one of the best games of the generation, but it sits somewhere in the nice diversion category. Good for a fun afternoon or two and nothing more. Don't look for anything amazing, and you might be surprised here. On my ranking list of the 117 original Xbox games I've covered on this channel, this one enters in at number 89. Fantastic Four sits better with me than Ultra Bust Move, which feels like a very weak part of that franchise and doesn't do much interesting. Yet, I think I'd rather pick up Madden 2002 to play with a friend or run through the simulation mode by myself. I feel like the replay value just is there with that one. Fantastic Four was released to mixed reviews according to Metacritic, with a 62 out of 100. IGN gave it a 6.5, saying that it was passable, but could have had better uses for everyone's powers. Game Informer gave it a 7.5 with a 6.5 second opinion, saying they were most disappointed in it not supporting 4 players, but felt the character balancing and moves made it a fun game for a few hours. Official Xbox Magazine gave it a 6.3 out of 10, saying it was mediocre. They thought the combat was too much of the same and the graphics were boring. Fantastic Four seemed to do alright in terms of sales, with VG Charts estimating 270,000 sales for the Xbox, and they estimate the PS2 version sold around 500,000. Not enough to reach a platinum hit status, but enough so the sequel movie could get pushed into making a game. The movie itself did well, making a profit at the box office, and then a sequel was quickly made after it, though the critical reviews were not very good for this movie. Though I know after the 2015 reboot, which I still have not seen, I know people look back on this one a little more fondly. Now the 4 are getting another movie under the MCU, and we will have to see how that one goes. The game itself, I've heard nothing about. No one really talks about it, and if you look it up on Backlogged, it looks like people hate this game. It has a low 2.1 out of 5, with over 1,000 people claiming to have played it. Some are positive, but the highest you'll see is a 3 on this one. There are otherwise a ton of low reviews saying it's boring or just average. So be sure to let me know how you feel about this one in the comments below. But that does wrap it up for today, and if you enjoyed this review, please leave a like, it really helps me out in the algorithm. Subscribe to keep up with more retro Xbox content, and be sure to check out my second channel, Camp Extras, for more gaming content. And I want to give a huge shout out to my YouTube channel members. Thank you so much for your support, you really help out the channel. But I'll see you here next time at Camp Xbox.